hardly wait to show you this next card. I am using a card that I had created a while back as inspiration. This is just, I was going through all my cards to pull out all the retired stamp sets. And so this layout and this color combination is the inspiration for my next card. So what I did was I used the artistic etchings again, and I'm using this pretty medallion stamp and then the Amore image as well. So what I did was I took a piece of early espresso cardstock and I ran it through my vintage wallpaper impression folder. I promise I'll use something else next time. It's really hard not to use it. It's so pretty. And then I took a piece of, and I kind of got carried away with my prep here, I took a piece of the new crumb cake. Remember, that's our old craft. And I stamped it with the same early espresso. And then I used my corner ticket punch, and I punched the corners. And then, excuse me, then I took my marker and I just did some faux stitching. Or in this case, I guess it wouldn't be stitching, it would be those faux, I don't know what they call them. Those are not really perforated edges. Anyway, little dash lines around this, so it just made kind of a ticket out of it. Then I took a piece of the newsprint paper, and the ink on this is black, but I wanted to use the early espresso, so I used a real fine, this one that kind of has this definition on it, because it's much finer and not as noticeable that it's black. Some of that paper is obvious that it's black. And just to tone it down a little bit more, I'm just going to use some more soft suede ink. Kind of gives it that tea stain look. Just going to go around the edges, make that smooth. Just a little here and there. So that's going to bring in the brown even a little bit more. Can you see that? And I'm going to do the same thing to my little ticket that I created. This gets you a lot of bang for your buck when you do some inking, especially if you want to go with this vintage kind of style. Okay, so I'm finished with that. Now, I'm going to take a piece of the cherry cobbler, because I love this so much, and I cut it the same length, but I cut it 1/4 of an inch wider. And the reason I did that is because I'm going to raise this whole thing up with dimensionals, and because this is not cardstock, I wanted to give it a little bit more weight. And putting that on top of the cherry cobbler is going to do that for me. So I'm just going to line this up, edge to edge. Okay, come back here. And pretty much if you can get one edge straight, as long as you cut your cardstock straight, the rest of them are going to go on there even. Okay? I'm just going to stick this down. Another tip for you is when you lay down a piece like this, try to give it the same amount of border on all 3 sides. Just gives it a much more finished look. Just like that. Now I'm going to take, I took my, that medallion piece and I inked it with Versamark, and then I embossed it with clear embossing powder. And I'm just going to take my 1 3/4 inch circle punch. I'm going to punch this out. This fits in here nicely with just a little bit of a border. Make sure I get that in the center. Punch that. And then I'm going to put some more dimensionals on it. And then I'll just go ahead and adhere this down. Kind of not really quite in the center, maybe off to the bottom. I think my heart and the other one was in the center, but it was a lot larger. Okay, so off to the right just a smidge. Now for my Amore, I'm going to put adhesive on this end. This is the edge that's going to overlap the medallion, and then I'll put a dimensional on the other side. because I want that raised up just like the medallion is raised up. Make sure you don't go too far with your dimensional, otherwise you're going to hit the early espresso instead of this red and newsprint in here. That's straight. That's a little bit crooked. Straighten that out. I can use these words as my guide. I'm actually thinking I want more of the medallion showing. So, very gently lift this up. See, my dimensionals are still there, so I can't go any higher than what they are. Except for this bottom one will get covered. I just don't want to cover up too much of the medallion. And I also want this crumb cake color to go off into the edge. Okay, much better. Now I have this little, I don't know if it's white or if it's vanilla flower, but it's out of the neutral collection. It's kind of a, I guess it looks a little more vanilla on that side. Little flower button, and I have a piece of natural hemp that I am going to thread through there, and then I'm just going to tie that in a knot. Just like that. And I'm going to cut my ends. I like to use my craft and rubber scissors for this hemp. I just feel like if I use my paper snips for anything but ribbon and paper, that it dulls them much quicker. Okay, so the hemp is what ties in that crumb cake. Put a little glue dot on the back. That in the corner. And see, this color is tied in with the paper of the two reds, and then the craft is tied into the hemp, and then the chocolate, or sorry, not chocolate, early espresso is tied in with the paper. And there you have it. I think that's pretty simple, yet still very elegant card. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time for more design basics.